Welcome to Talk Dirt to Me, where two farmers shatter myths and take on the top issues facing America's farmers. Here's your hosts, Logan and Bobby Lee.
Man, it's the weather. Weather's been pretty crazy today. Yeah, I was going to go deer hunt this afternoon, but...
Well, this is your deer hunting kind of weather.
I know. I usually like to go when it's crappy.
Well, it's I was literally in the middle of feeding cows, and when you called me, or actually you texted me, and then I called you. I needed to like work on some fence and other stuff, but it's kind of starting to rain a little heavier, and I was like, I can wait. Right before I go out of town.
Yeah, right before you go out of town.
Get a call when I'm in another state, and like cows are out. But no, I don't think they'll get out.
Nah, yeah. But yeah, guys, welcome to the show. It's Thanksgiving.
It is. Well, it'll be the day after Thanksgiving. It'll be Black Friday when people are listening to this.
I actually think that I might drop this one early.
Okay.
Drop it on Thanksgiving.
Have an actual Thanksgiving.
Yep,
Hey,
yep.
a Thanksgiving gift to the world.
That's right, and I feel like we need to, when we get to the end of this episode, we need to talk about some Thanksgiving foods. I think we were going to do that.
Yeah.
So we can do that at the end. We'll save that. I'll make a note because otherwise I'll forget, and you probably will too. I got a few topics for us. We got a couple emails I want to get as well. Before we get too deep into that, first I got to give everybody a shout out. Still, last time I had checked, our Apple folks and Spotify folks are still doing really good, man. Like every time I'm checking, we're gaining a couple we're up to about 258 on Apple. Right here, we've got a new rating, 5 stars, farm family from North Alabama, and we love your show. Hey, man, that's what we like to hear. Another, just great start to every Friday. That's, guys, means a lot. We appreciate the ratings and reviews. Like I said, we're gaining them on Spotify. Spotify is it's a pretty good bit over 300. Apple, I want to see it get over 300. We're at 258 on Apple. We could easily get over 300.
Yep.
So y'all keep kicking butt. Leave those ratings and reviews, 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Leave us a comment below. And
hey, it's holiday season. It is here.
It is.
You need to do some shopping, and that needs to start at agzaga.com. They're I don't know what all kinds of sales they're going to have going on, but I do know for certain one. They've got 10% off when you use that discount code. Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word. Obviously for the holiday shopping, heck, man, maybe somebody would enjoy a pallet of bayonet wrap or a new Flexzilla garden hose or some new rake wheels. But the toys, in all seriousness, all the tractors, the little farm animal figurines.
Oh, yeah, they got all kinds of
check
that.
it all out. They got some of the pinker stuff for the girls.
Yep.
Or maybe you got a boy that's into that. We're not going to judge, and neither will they. But yeah, they got all the traditional stuff. Check it out. Start your holiday shopping right there.
Yep, do it. All right. It's I'm kind of doing like you tonight. I got a beer. It's not even nighttime this afternoon.
Like we kind of mentioned in the open there, Logan caught me off guard, texting me at like 2:00. He's like, or he sent me a GIF that said, "I'm waiting."
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, did I forget we had a guest that we were
we
supposed
got
to,
a guest next week.
because we never record before like 9:00 on Thursday nights, and it's here the middle of the afternoon on Wednesday. And it turned out I got a new phone today, and some of the text messages didn't come through, so I didn't see where he had wanted to record early. So yeah, what are you drinking?
Ghost River, the gold.
Little local brew.
Yep. Ghost River's pretty darn good, I think. And this is the gold blend or gold brew or whatever.
Yep.
Pretty good. And yeah, I like to support my local folks.
I'm drinking water.
With a little what flavor in it?
Yeah, I put those little flavor tabs. But my Protect, shout out to another Made USA company. My scheduled delivery didn't come until later this week. So, but those the little tabs. I don't even know. It's like a little vitamin tab thing.
Gotcha.
It gives the water like an orange flavor. But
I gotcha.
yeah, when we get done here, I'm headed across the river to duck hunt tomorrow. So I'm like, probably I'll drink the beer after I make it to my destination. Be responsible.
Yeah, it's responsible. Well, that's what I'm gonna probably jump in the deer stand in the morning, and I saw a pretty good one the other day walking when I was bush hogging. I should have been in the deer stand, and I instead just kept bush hogging. I saw a pretty good one, so I'm going to get after it. But
yeah, I'll keep it vague. But yeah, somebody that I was kind of seeing if I wanted to ride and deer hunt with me, they got a pretty good one. Nothing just, outstanding, but it looks like he's been shot. Like,
oh, really?
Like I'd have to look at the video a little closer because I just saw it once. Yeah, I think the leg's probably broken. Front leg. So it's like, yeah, you need to kill that one for sure. I mean, one, he's a good enough deer to kill anyway.
But so, put him out of his misery.
Yeah, that person, I was like, hey, you want to ride to Arkansas this evening? We'll hunt tomorrow and get back for lunch. And they're like, no, I'm going to try to put in my efforts on that deer. And I was like, yeah, I would too. Because, I mean, again, you just, you worry that he's not going to make it through the winter anyway.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame if, he just, died out there and you found the skull next spring.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we got a couple of emails I want to get to real quick. There's several topics I want to hit on. First comes in from Matt, and we're on top of these pretty good. This came in 6 days ago.
Oh, yeah.
He said, hey, gentlemen, just wanted to say really enjoy the podcast and both of y'all's YouTube channels. I'm from the Pine Belt of South Mississippi and listen to y'all on my drives back and forth to West Texas for work every 2 weeks. I was just curious on Bobby Lee's stance on being gay.
We're an ally here, at the Talk Dirt to Me podcast.
Yeah, no, he actually said your stance on what he thought about someone starting in the cattle business small time with about 75 acres of fenced pasture. What his stance is on commercial cattle versus registered cattle. Didn't know if it would be a quality over quantity thing to make the most out of it. Keep up the good work, guys, and stay safe. Appreciate it, Matt.
So
why don't you take over?
I actually had that exact same thought whenever I was kind of getting into my herds. Like, okay, what I ran into on the registered cattle, there's a few barriers. One, like obviously that if that's all your pasture you're going to have a relatively small number of cows. Hence the quality over quantity. So you're obviously not going to have near enough to have your own production sale where you've got, 200 bulls and 150 bred heifers to offer every year, like these huge outfits. But say you go with the standard Angus, or really any breed, you're going to have a local breed association, Mississippi Angus Association, Mississippi Hereford, something like that, where, they'll usually sponsor a sale yearly where, they'll have all kinds of consigners from all over. You put, some females in there, make some money. It's a little more labor intensive somewhat because to really do the registered thing right, they want you to get, birth weights on all your calves. Not incredibly hard to do, but I mean, you obviously got to be right there and have the equipment and, the labor to do it. And then getting weaning weights, yearling weights, because you're getting all that data back. I did it with Herefords for a little while, and you could be different types of a purebred or registered breeder. Like I wouldn't get all that data because like I could get a birth weight on them, but then I didn't have a big scale to weigh, for weaning weights, for instance. So, and then you got to just be a little more, strategic with your marketing because, those are higher value animals. Your top end bull calves. You may want to grow them out to be your herd bulls that you put in a local sale. Maybe you just got enough neighbors that are interested. Something there you got to keep in mind. So say you got 75 acres. If you're like us, you could probably run 20, 25 mama cows, cow-calf pairs. But if you're then going to say, well, all right, I'm going to keep all my heifers for replacements and sell them as bred heifers and try to grow out, again, my best bulls. Well, then you got your 25 mama cows, plus you've got, say, 10 or 12 heifers that are, every year, and maybe 3 or 4 bulls that you think are breeding stock quantity or quality. Well, then now you've got another 15 animals that are essentially you're going to keep until they're adults. And so all of a sudden you're running out of, like, what do you need extra pasture to grow them out. And I ran into that too. Cause I was like, man, versus, I can sell these calves when they're weaned or even at yearlings. So obviously, if you watch my channel, we're all commercial. We got a few registered cows still, but we're not breeding registered bulls. We're just raising commercial calves. And so I mean, my bias would certainly go that direction. Definitely, I wouldn't hesitate if you're not dead set on being cow calf. The stocker cattle route. I've probably done better there than I have with my cow calf most years. That way you don't have to worry about feeding them through the winter, which if he's far enough south, they may have you got some real good, pasture ground, and they're rotating just right, not overstocking it. They can graze probably a lot longer than we have. May not have a long hay feeding season, but yeah, putting those calves out there on that grass in spring. And one thing I think I'm going to do next year is maybe graze them from late winter, spring, then early summer, go ahead and sell them, just because a lot of our grass is fescue and doesn't do real good during the summer. Mm-hmm. Then in the fall, you could even have you some rye or something sown in there. Get another group of calves in the fall, graze that ryegrass. I would. Yeah, simple answer is I would lean towards the commercial route. But if you're really interested in it, may take you a little while to get a foothold in that registered world. But if you don't just have to immediately, start getting return back, yeah.
It's kind of like guys that grow non-GMO crops. It's just it's a specialty niche of that, more or less, kind of how I would break it down. Like you got your standard GMO crops, and I feel like you're just kind of getting into a little more tighter niche there.
And if you're doing a registered thing, you need to be involved in your state breed association, probably going to the meetings, shaking hands, rubbing elbows, getting to know some of those folks. And maybe you already do. Maybe you've already got an in there where, you can get your name out there, and, it's not just you're somebody nobody's ever heard of. And are they going to, buy really high dollar, registered females from you, without you having that reputation already? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I never really got too deep into that world.
Yeah.
It was just, I figured out pretty quick. I was like, I just don't think this is quite the direction, just personally, I need to go.
Yeah. I still, for me personally, I think that the quality over quantity thing is pretty cool in the sense, I've talked about going real niche, like a Wagyu cattle, and having like 10 or 15. And then if you can, especially depending on where you're at, like we're here near Memphis. Like I've thought before, I'm like, man, I gotta get into some like Wagyu. If you could link up with like some steak houses in Memphis or something, and find that. We always harp on the niches, but that's one I've always thought about.
Yeah, that's something where I can almost guarantee you there is a market. And I don't market to any restaurants or anything, 'cause my beef's not USDA inspected, but there is, we live in population of our county, 65,000, and I sell some, goes outside of the county. But with zero marketing at all nowadays, all just by word of mouth. I've just got 9 head that I'm feeding now, but yeah, and you don't need much land for that, 'cause you've got them just on feed, basically in confinement. Doing that with a few, that's where you really, get into the quality kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's, again, that's pretty easy. If you start out just doing 4 or 5 the first year, you've probably got enough just family and friends that are like, yeah, I want to buy half a carcass from you. And then, before you know it, you've got people that are calling you that you're like, yeah, I'll put you on the list. Maybe I'll feed more next year.
Well, and I think I would like to know, like, let's say the Majestic down here in Memphis. I wonder how many they would need. Like, let's say you went, you shook hands, like you said, you talked to them. I wonder how many they would want.
You don't get a lot of steaks out of a carcass is one problem. That's where, like, sometimes I'll see these restaurants, and I don't mean to be like that guy that's shitbagging on another farming operation. They'll say, all our beef is sourced from such and such farm. And I've got like a little bit of a
skepticism
of
or
that
something.
Farm. And I'm like, y'all are this kind of steakhouse. Like I can do like basic math, like how many steaks y'all probably go through in a week. And I'll even lowball it. Like the number of animals that you would need to get that many steaks, like that farm, like I don't see how there's any way they could do that.
Yeah.
And so then I wonder, like, well, that farm's probably buying cattle, that are fed somewhere else. And that still could, technically be their cattle because they're going through them. But it's kind of like, well, they weren't really raised on that farm just right down the road.
You know what that makes me think of? It's like at the farm store out there, we've had several people that they're like, man, I mean, all year we've heard people be like, you need to bring in some other stuff so that you can have more supply. And that is a challenge. Like, we have the infrastructure to handle it. So it's kind of like, yeah, we ought to, but it kind of bothers me at the same hand, because it's like there's a place here, I won't mention the name. It's not far from here. And I'm pretty sure the dude doesn't grow, I don't think he grows any of the crops there.
He's just basically the grocery store, more or less.
Yes. And he sells a bunch of pumpkins, like a bunch of pumpkins. He told me over 30,000 pumpkins a year.
And he doesn't plant a single seed.
I'm pretty sure he don't plant a single seed. If he does, because where their place is at, it's like 3 acres.
Well, that's like, yeah, I mean, I have the demand again, and I'm not bragging or tooting my horn, just for people. I've done it for about 10 years now, where people call me for beef. And like, if I really wanted to, like, I'm like, man, I really don't have the capacity to feed more than the 9 or 10 or so that I do. But, say I've got a neighbor up the road that's feeding some out, and he's not really marketing or doesn't care anything about that. I'd be like, well, hey, I'll just sell them as Hurricane Creek Farms beef, and I'll just take 10% out.
Yep.
I'll sell them. I'll whatever.
Yeah, cut them. Some sort of pay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take a little.
That's
cut.
not what he's doing, but he's just saying, yeah. That's
No.
That
you watch my channel. I will assure you, there are 9 animals, and I've got 9 carcass, 9 kill spots. Now 3 of them. If you might watch my last video, whoo, buddy, I caught 3 out here last weekend.
Oh, some 3 good fine ones out here.
They've actually calmed down way more. Give another shout out to another Made in USA product, Farapiece.
I was telling a guy about it this weekend.
I was almost joking, like, as I was putting it on them, because these suckers, I titled my video "The Most Dangerous Bulls I've Ever Handled," and I don't know
the ones you caught.
Yeah,
I hadn't watched it. I have to go watch.
They were every bit as bad as that one that got me that day. I mean, they were right there on that level, which same genetics.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, the beef's gonna be great. They're gonna calm down, and they're steers
Did
now.
you notice immediate difference with the Farapiece?
I told your dad, I was like, I was so worried when I took them home. I put them in my barn, which is good, big, heavy metal fencing panels, but my outside pen that they can go into, I spent about an hour
beefing it up,
reinforcing it with also metal panels. So I was like, because here's the thing, I was like, if they get out, I will never see them again.
Oh, yeah.
Or if I do, it'll be like with the drone as they're like leaving the county. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight if I don't do this. And actually, like, the next morning, they were like coming up there, kind of looking around the feed trough, and like, that was just Sunday. Today's Wednesday. They're coming in there and eating now. They won't really come up till I walk off.
Did you run them up in the chute and put the Farapiece on them out here?
No, I did that at my house.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got them home and did all that, banded them, dewormed them, put the Farapiece on them.
Yeah. And you think you could tell a difference?
Well, of course, I don't know, because I treated all of them.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with Farapiece, a lot of folks, they'll do it more like with weaning calves, because that's when calves are real stressed and stirred up. And like these big outfits have 200 calves they wean, they'll treat 100 of them and not treat the other 100. And they'll say the next day, that the treated group is quieter, not bawling near as much, coming to the feed really good, whereas the other group is acting like calves that have just been weaned. They're bawling, they don't want to eat, they're just worried about where their mom went. So yeah, it certainly didn't hurt. And I mean, I'll say this: they were calmer by the next day than I expected them to be.
Yeah. Well, that's what
I don't have them halter broke yet or anything, but
we had a family gathering this weekend, our first round of Thanksgiving, and one of my family members over there, he's got cattle, and that's what he was talking about. He said he has one or two that are just. He was like, man, he said they're the wildest cows. He said, I cannot get them under control. And
well, if they're brood cows, I'd say just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people on my videos like, you need to get rid of them. I'm like, well, like they're
going to get rid of. They're going to become a hamburger.
Yeah, like if these were cows, there's no way I would keep them to breed them. And they were bulls. Like they're like, no, they have no purpose as a breeding animal. They're literally going to be in this pen until the day they die.
Yeah.
And then they'll get on the trailer and they'll be dead an hour later.
How many think, like, I think about over the years, how many cattle have like escaped that just are out there. I wonder what they do. Just cops have to shoot them.
Oh, in some parts of the country, well, like, out west, some of those cattle that just become feral. Like, story we hit on, it's been a while back where they were shooting from a helicopter.
Yep.
because like I think that was in New Mexico, that some of that wilderness area, like those cattle hadn't been caught in years, and they're, basically an invasive species.
What you would need to do, like if you had one like that get out, you just be like, and they're like, hey, you got a cow? I'm like, I ain't never seen that cow before. Let that be somebody else's problem.
Yeah, the only problem is almost all mine have a tag in their ear that says Hurricane Creek Farms.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you need to not. You just need to let them be on
Hurricane Creek. There are other Hurricane Creek farms out there, because I actually get emails. And apparently, there's one somewhere that's trying to hire, because it's somehow like when you, I guess, search engine optimization. I must be pretty high up, because they email me. They're like, "Hey, I filled out the job posting, but I did something. I was like, man, I appreciate you reaching out to me, but that's not my job. That's another Hurricane Creek Farms.
Yeah. Dang. Well, all right. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that cow must belong to that other one.
Yeah, it must be out there out of
I know
Oklahoma.
They're like in South Carolina, but that's crazier things have happened.
It ran a long way. All right, Matt, we appreciate you writing in, man. And like I said, we always advise y'all, write into us. Okay. All right, here we go. This is from Tex. He says, hello, fellers. Long-time listener, first-time shout-out. The irony is I live in Tipton County, Indiana. Y'all live in Tipton County, Tennessee.
You're damn right we do.
Yep. Love listening to your show every week. I do farm, we raise row crop, and I do have my own hay business that me and my wife run. You both are right. It takes a huge toll on us to keep equipment running to trying to sell out by next spring, but we manage and love doing it. Would love to grow more, but there's some tough competition out there. I feel you. Shout out to both of you for building an empire. I'd love to start my own podcast or go around and get on someone else's show as a celebrity. At least my daughter thinks I am. Would love to sit down and talk to you both over a drink. I'm currently listening to your latest podcast as I type this. Keep up the great shows to listen to. Thanks, Tex. P.S. If you ever get up this way, I'd love to give you both a tour of Broken Strand Ranch. That's our ranch name. That's a cool ranch name.
Indiana. I've not spent a lot of time in Indiana, but up there a few times.
I've never been there.
Our fraternity used to have our retreat in French Lick, Indiana.
French Lick.
Home of Larry Bird.
Oh, okay. Basketball man.
Yeah.
One of the few I know. I like the name Broken Strand Ranch. That'd make a good. That needs to be.
Hell,
y'all gotta have
Tex
some
is a hell
hats.
of a good name.
Tex is.
I'm flattered that he used the word empire.
I know.
Like, hell, you're going to give us the big head.
You are. I ain't gonna be able to get out of here. I ain't gonna fit through that door getting out of here. Building this empire, man. No, man, I appreciate it, Tex. And dude, you need to. If you don't, surely you got hats by now. But you need to get some Broken Strand Ranch hats and send them to us. I want one with that on there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Speaking
it.
of which, we are working on getting some hats.
I know. I've shouted out to Sarah several times. Like, I hadn't forgot about you. I emailed her, told her
By the time we get you something, your kid will be big enough to wear.
He might. Yeah,
We'll just send a T-shirt.
Yeah. But we don't want to just send you just a koozie. That's kind of lame. So we'll get some hats and stuff in. But appreciate you, Tex. We're gonna keep pushing this thing till the wheels fall off. That's the way I feel about it.
Yep. We might have one loose already, but
maybe. All right. So the first big thing
I was gonna. I don't get many emails, but
okay,
actually,
go
someone
ahead.
did email me. Give a shout out to Chip. He's up in Pennsylvania. Says they sell beef, honey, eggs, and occasionally a few hogs.
Okay.
He wanted my feed program. I sent that over to him. So they did start a pumpkin patch this year and are dabbling in agritourism.
Nice.
He really needs you to get your YouTube up and going.
Yeah.
But he also said, keep it up with the Coke jokes.
I had actually been thinking of how I was going to slide one in here.
Y'all just have to wait. But yeah, he probably the best compliment. I don't want to get his words wrong. He said, we like the down-to-earth kitchen table type conversations about topics that pertain to small-time farmers. It's like a conversation we would have with a family or friends while drinking a beer or standing in the hayfield. That's kind of exactly what I've been going for. It's like we're sitting on a tailgate at the end of the day.
Yep.
Just cracked open the cooler and are just talking about what went on, bitching about industry problems.
Yep.
Whatever. Just regular old talk. We're not experts. We try to stay informed and inform y'all a little bit and be a little entertaining along the way.
We're dudes in the industry.
Yep.
That's what I look at. I'm like, we're two dudes that are in the industry and doing the thing. And you're navigating the wildness with us. Yeah, like that's how I look at it. Yeah, I got to get the YouTube going. Hell, I got to get the YouTube going at this point because I need some sort of income. Even if it's $10 a month off of YouTube, I need some extra income with the way farming's going. So I need to bite the bullet and get back on there.
Get to 1 million subscribers, and then hell,
then I won't even have to worry about farming no more.
Farming, you'll have to keep farming to keep the content, but
yeah,
you'll be farming for content.
It'd be for fun. Yeah. I won't even care if I make a profit then.
It's kind of like the opposite of the way I am now. It's like, well, I'm trying to make money on the cattle, and like, whatever little bit I get off YouTube is just like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, if John Deere or somebody,
for some of those big ag, or not podcasters, podcasters too, but YouTube channels, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know their business and exactly how much money they're turning in, but based on the viewership they get, they I believe are making sizable chunks of money just from their content.
I know I've heard some of the real big ag guys, I've heard them say that they make more money off of YouTube than they do farming. And man, what a weight that would be lifted. Like I said, I could just farm for the enjoyment of farming at that point. And so I do want to hit on a couple of things. First, Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Ag.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, where do I know that name? Yeah,
she's a porn star.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised these days. It was leaked that it was going to be that other woman, like on Friday.
Yeah,
and a lot of people are like, she was kind of came from a BTO type background.
Yeah,
and I don't know as much about this, and I've actually got several other ag podcasts to listen to that were kind of breaking it down, and I hadn't really had a chance to, listen to a lot of them. I don't know.
Well, that's actually kind of the cool thing. There ain't much known about her. Okay. She's from Texas. She's got a degree in ag development from Texas A&M, and give my buddy Bo a shout out over there.
Yeah, gig him.
And it says here, like I was kind of researching, pretty unknown on her stances about big ag versus small. Oh, we're going to do the horns down?
Horns down. They do play Texas. I don't know if there's some of the games are on Thanksgiving, some of them aren't.
A&M plays Texas?
Yeah, it's the first time they played in like 15 years. Because Texas A&M went to the SEC, and Texas was still in the Big 12, so they didn't play there for a while because they didn't want to do a non-conference matchup, I guess.
A&M is in SEC?
Yeah, A&M's been in the SEC for a while now.
Okay.
A&M and Missouri joined at the same time, and then this year is the first year for Texas and Oklahoma.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Bo Sandoval is one of my good buddies, and he is up there. He's an admin there. I don't know shit about Texas A&M, but I will cheer for my buddies. But
they have male cheerleaders.
That part, yeah, they dance. Yeah, I sent him that video, and he was like,
people love to hate on them for that.
Yeah. But
it's their thing. Everybody does something a little weird.
Y'all get on, if you're listening to this, what would be cool, y'all get on Instagram and go follow Bo. It's literally just Bo Sandoval, I think, on Instagram. And
Sandoval spelled just the way it sounds.
Yep, SANDOV or SAN, DOVAL.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I got it. Yeah, and his thing is simple: Bo.Sandoval, BO.Sandoval. Y'all go follow him on Instagram and just comment on his page or something and be like, "Talk dirt to me, sent me here." That would be funny. Like, let's. I would love to see us kind of spam his page a little bit. But he's up there, so I'll be pulling for A&M against Texas then.
Oh yeah, I'm almost always going to pull for the ag school in any matchup like that. But Mississippi State's playing against Ole Miss. I'll be pulling for the Bulldogs.
Yep. But like I said, it's because my big thing was when I was kind of trying to research her was, is she for big ag or is she small ag? Because that's kind of the thing everybody's wondering right now.
Yeah. Is it going to be status quo, like protect the big companies, that are, kind of controlling everything, certainly on the beef side, are they going to be, in the pocket of the NCBA, who's of course aligned with the meat packers, or are they going to be more for the grassroots groups that are still fighting for the independent producer? Yeah, and
right now we don't know.
Well, I think that's kind of the little bit of the gist that I've gotten from what I have been able to research out of it. So
yeah. Right now, we do not know.
I think she was she something. Obviously, she wasn't.
She was in his administration the first time.
Yeah. So he's. I mean, obviously, with the way people were stabbing him in the back and all the first go around and in between and whatnot, him keeping it close to his circle pretty tight is not surprising.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I would too.
No, yeah, I would too. And so, yeah, we don't know. I mean, like I said, it's just not a lot to share about her right now.
I think the biggest thing that some people have been, because a lot of folks like us were really hoping it was to be Thomas Massey, because we know he's like, no, burn it down. We need a total reset of the way, the USDA is run. The way that subsidies prop up the big guys. The all these policies and whatnot.
Yep.
So, but I don't know. We got our hopes up for open invitation for her to come on as a guest sometime.
I mean,
I think every podcast I've listened to said that. Like, yeah, we'd love to talk to her. Yeah.
Wouldn't
we all?
We need to reach out to some of them because, hey, man, you never know. I'll tell you when Trump and them, before he won, did I tell you that I emailed his team to get him on here?
No.
I went to his website. They had like media inquiries, and I just was like, all right. So I wrote them, never heard back, but I was like, hey, it's worth a shot. I was going to look. I had some stuff. I wanted to read what I got on on her. Yeah, Brooke Rollins. She was the former White House domestic policy advisor. And she's the CEO of America First Policy Institute, which, now she'll be the U.S. Sec of Ag. She's expected to focus on supporting American farmers and revitalizing rural communities dependent on agriculture. That's very broad, that.
I was about to say that sounds good, but it's like, what does that really mean?
Yeah. How many employees did you think are in the Department of Ag? This shocks me.
Too many. 50,000.
100,000. 100. It says nearly 100,000 employees. That's crazy to me.
Well, I know, and I think Trump had floated this out there originally. Like the Department of Ag shouldn't be in D.C.
Yeah, it needs to be. He's talked about moving everything kind of more to wherever would be more like a better location.
I agree. Like, one, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. There's not a lot of ag centered in that area. I mean, there's some, but and two, it'd be a lot harder for the lobbyists to have as much pull. If you got that centralization of power, just geographically moved, and put it smack. And two, I believe you'd have less bureaucrats, just because, a lot of those people probably don't want to move to
some rural,
the middle of Nebraska, nothing against Nebraskans,
Munford, Tennessee,
something, and they like to live that ritzy lifestyle and in DC, rubbing elbows, with all those types.
Well, it's like here, her main roles is going to be involved participating in discussions on tariffs and renegotiations of trade agreements such as the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Yeah, she's a native of Glen Rose, Texas. Let's see. Let me make sure I didn't have anything else interesting about her. It's like specifics about her policies. It's vague. She's had limited direct experience in agriculture policy. So, I mean, there's just nothing to go and look at and say, this is probably the direction she's going to go. And I kind of like that. It's like, hey, well, we'll have to see.
Yep.
All right. The next one is our boy Steve McBee. So, more updates on his stuff.
On the crop insurance fraud story.
Yeah. So
I hadn't read anything more on it since that first came out.
So for people that don't know, if you're first time tuning in, you've probably heard of the show The McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys. Well, Steve, he's 52 years old. He is the head honcho of the whole operation. He pled guilty to federal crop insurance fraud between 2018 and 2020, which is crazy. It kind of shows, like, I've always heard the wheels of justice turn slow.
Yeah.
And that's like, man, it's 2018, like, and it's just now, we're entering 2025 and it's 2018. Like, if I was him and I did this, hell, I feel like at this point I'd be thinking I was off scotch free.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, oh man, yeah, that's years ago. I made it. But anyway, so he submitted fraudulent documents, underreported his corn and soybean yields. So he claimed he had a whole lot worse crop than he really did. From my understanding, he sold to one elevator, because there's records of all your grain you sell.
It's hard to sell that under the table.
Yeah. I mean, because it was like a lot of grain. So he just sold to like one granary, and then he sold to another, and he just basically didn't report any of the other. Claimed he took a terrible beating, and he got about $4 million from insurance. So his financial penalty is $3,158,923 what he has to pay or forfeit to the government. And, you know, I know some people are like, oh, hell, man, they got helicopters and this and that. They're just like every other farm out there. We have equipment and things like that. That's actually where your money is. Like most farmers don't have $3 million in the bank account.
Yeah, we're not cash rich.
Yes. And that's actually one thing we've talked about, you know, I really like about Yellowstone, I thought did well, is you got the Yellowstone Ranch and all them, but Beth is always like, we're broke. We don't have any money. And so, and people are like, but you got helicopters and this and that. And it's like, well, it's not the same. Yeah. What's the old saying? Cash poor, land rich, cash poor.
Yeah, land rich, cash poor.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So
just asset rich in general, because like you say, a lot of people, which a lot of that equipment is owed on.
Yeah,
so I'm sure they're probably the same way. But
it's almost like liability rich. Yeah. But yeah, so he has to forfeit $3.1 million, and it was a total loss claimed by the government amounting to $4,022,000. So I don't know how they came up with the 3.1. But here's what's pretty wild, man. He's actually facing 30 years in federal prison without parole.
But did he take a plea deal?
He pled guilty. I don't know.
Yeah,
it says his sentence is pending a probation office investigation. But
yeah, I would imagine. I mean, if he's got a halfway decent lawyer, I mean, he pled guilty. They got
I
would think
surely
they had a deal in place, you know, to avoid it, you know, going to trial and all that.
Yeah, you would think, because, man, 30 years in the slammer federal prison without parole, that would suck. And the other big question a lot of people now are wondering, I've heard his sons and some of them kind of make almost light of it a little bit. Like, yeah, something we got to talk about in the show and this and that. And but people are wondering what's going to happen, because this is substantial financial penalties, potential imprisonment. So some people are wondering, like, could this be the downfall of their operation? I don't know. The big thing that they are kind of saying is he's most likely going to be gone from the show. You know, the McBee dynasty, it says in season 2, they do not expect him to be in the show upon the legal thing. So I don't know. The one thing I think about with them, they kind of pride themselves in being like the bad boys of agriculture. And so it's like, there's almost a part of me that thinks that this is like good publicity for them.
Well, you know, the whole saying, there's no
publicity's bad publicity kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure, like, for the TV show ratings, it probably is good, because it keeps their name out there in the spotlight. But certainly within the industry, you know, because a lot of people don't have a soft spot for BTOs, and there's certainly that. And then this is kind of one of the things that people point out that's really wrong about them. Even if they're not committing fraud, they're operating in the gray area when it comes to you know, manipulating the system to get subsidies, you know, and things like that. Yeah.
I'm intrigued to see how this moves forward, because they've got control over a lot of ground. It doesn't mean anything to me and Bobby Lee, because it ain't like we're going to get to pick up any ground around here.
No, they're in like northwest Missouri.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting to see what happens, and this is not a new thing. We've covered multiple, you know, big instances where people have committed insane insurance fraud on the farm. You know,
it's not too different than several of the stories that, oh gosh, what's his name?
Chris
Bennett.
Yeah.
Actually, when I saw that on Twitter, somebody had shared a story. I tagged him, and I was like,
Do a
I was
story.
like, I can't wait, patiently waiting on Chris. But he's like, yeah, I forget how he responded. But
Did he respond to you?
He said, yeah. He's like, boy, there's a lot to unpack there, I'm sure, or something. Which I don't know. I hope he's on it. But reminded me of one he wrote on it was tobacco. Maybe we discussed it.
We did.
Yeah, where they were selling that tobacco.
Yeah.
On the black market, and like there's probably more of a market there where you can get rid of tobacco through.
Be hard to pull up with a semi load of grain and be like, where do you want this? We're going to
there
dump
aren't
this.
that many people, most people that are wanting to get rid of grain without having to, haul it in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe some people do this where they're also feeding cattle, which they do feed some cattle out. But
I almost feel like if you could get the shady enough, if you could catch an elevator owner that was shady, like what you could do in a situation like that, if you're going to file some massive insurance fraud,
you could sell it
cheap as crap.
Sell it cheap.
Yeah,
Hey,
like-
there's going to be no paper trail.
Yep. I'll let you have this grain. I'll sell you these beans for $4 a bushel. Just give me $4 a bushel.
Because I'm going to claim that I didn't have it at all.
Yeah. Like that's the kind of.
You'll make some extra money on it because you're buying them, way below market value. And then I'm just going to put that cash in my pocket,
Yeah. It's like if you were selling cocaine, you would want to. You don't want them paper trails, so you figure out.
You're not selling cocaine and reporting that income to the government.
That's right.
I don't think you are anyway. Isn't that supposedly how they took down what was the big mobster?
Capone?
Yeah, was it that there was like tax fraud?
Evasion?
It was really what they got him on.
Yeah, they couldn't get him, and that's a lot of times. Yeah, they got to get charges that'll stick, and like they knew the guy was
damn IRS.
Yeah, they got him, and then he died of syphilis.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, there's your cocaine reference. And another wild thing I saw. Have you seen the drone helicopters?
No.
So Spray Hawk has come out with like a remote controlled helicopter.
I was about to say, isn't a drone helicopter just a helicopter?
Yeah, but it's autonomous. Like nobody drives it.
Yeah,
nobody's in it.
It's a UAV.
Yep, pretty much. It has a 110-gallon tank on it, and you can spray 240 acres in an hour.
So it's just a really big ass drone.
Yep.
But I guess something qualifies it as being an actual helicopter.
Well, it looks just like a helicopter.
Like it's a single rotor
Yep.
or whatever. Yeah.
But the thing that's kind of cool about it, I have said, I've mentioned I'd like to get into the drone thing because I feel like we're on the cusp of like it's just now really getting rock and rolling. So you're going to see some wild innovation over the next several years.
Right. Yeah. I fully. Yeah. It'll be about like computers. By the time you get one and get it figured out, it'll be obsolete.
Yep. I won't be buying one of these Spray Hawks.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, you're into the several hundreds of thousands of dollars.
If I were to buy a brand new Spray Hawk, they've got two ways you can go here. You can buy a ready-built Spray Hawk that you can autonomously fly and spray, or you can get a retrofit kit for your helicopter to turn it into an autonomous sprayer. If you were to go buy the Spray Hawk ready to rock and roll, you're going to be out a cool $1.5 million.
Yep.
If you retrofit your helicopter, you're going to be out a nice $700,000.
Yeah. Which using helicopters to spray, obviously we just had Keith on a couple weeks ago, and of course he uses airplane.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've been using helicopters to spray crops just like they do airplanes.
I think a helicopter, we don't have anybody in our area doing that over here, but one, because helicopters are they're very expensive. Not to say airplanes are not. Airplanes are expensive, but I know helicopters are really damn expensive. But the nice thing with them is the same benefits you get from the drone, and that is the downward force from the rotors, because that's where an airplane is similar to a ground rig spraying, where you don't actually have. I mean, you probably get some downforce out of an airplane, but not near.
You're just relying on gravity to get that product on the plants.
And there's been a lot of people that have done studies on like the drone applications, and they talk about they get a lot better coverage, and you're actually spraying a whole lot less. You're spraying about a 3 gallon per acre rate versus a 15 gallon On my ground rig, when I spray, I'm spraying 15 gallons per acre. And if you spray with the drone, it's like three gallons per acre.
I wonder, obviously, there's some products that just won't work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what they, like I'm sure, which I don't think we'll have dicamba next year anyways, but I'm like 99% sure we won't. But I don't think you would be able to use like dicamba out of it because you got to, right now to be on label, you have to be 24 inches or closer, within 24 inches or closer
really
to it.
Low.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not getting that low with the aeroplane.
No, and I can't imagine. I mean, hell, with a helicopter, if you got down that low with a helicopter, I mean, the one thing with a helicopter, I'd be curious to know how much damage you'd actually do to the crop.
Exactly what you're going to lay a ton of it down.
Yeah, I can't imagine the damage that would come from that. So I'm sure you could not spray like dicamba with a helicopter.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's cool to see, and that's why I even more like I want to get into the drones kind of now, just to get in on the kind of groundbreaking level, so that as it increases, you're already there.
Yeah.
So, we got to get into. It's Thanksgiving. We got to do a little Thanksgiving thing here.
I had one other current story.
All right.
One, like a lot of these stories, I first heard from Corbett, and then a bunch of other ag media and whatnot. I picked it up and read a couple of articles. But the New World screwworm.
I saw an article about this.
Shown up in the Mexican state of Chiapas. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll pretend like that's how you say it. Which is the like southernmost state of Mexico. So it's way down there, like bordering Guatemala.
Yeah.
But we've closed off cattle imports out of Mexico as a result of it. Because we've eradicated it from the U.S. like, oh gosh, I'm sure it says in here. Eradication efforts began in the 50s. And it said that we did have the last reported occurrence in the U.S. was actually in deer in Florida in 2016, which I didn't realize we'd had it that recently.
Yeah.
But we eradicated it. This is pretty neat. So the females can only breed once in their life.
Yeah.
And so they sterilized a bunch of males and released them. So they would go out and do the breeding.
And nothing was produced.
Yeah, they were firing blanks. So, yeah.
Dang.
But feeder cattle imports from Mexico are currently shut off. Which what that translates to, about 5% of our feedlot placements come out of Mexico. Year to date, it's been almost 1.2 million feeder cattle have entered, from Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were saying, if you took all other variables out, simply a 5% decrease in feeders would result in about an 8.6% increase in prices.
Yeah.
Of course, there's other factors in play there. So I don't know that I guess is a little bit of bullish news for U.S. cattle prices. But yeah, it's kind of a big deal. I don't, we're not freaking out about it here yet. We're just shutting that off. And again, in reality, it's from the extreme southernmost part of Mexico, but it's kind of a current news story that I'd seen it in enough places. I was like, yeah, this is a big enough deal. We probably ought to mention it.
Well, that standard grain that I listen to, they always do a little cattle update, and they talked about the screwworm or whatever in there.
Yeah, it's a flesh-eating larva of that fly.
Well, he did say he was like should see a bump in price, but he said if you're in a position to take advantage of that bump, you need to take advantage of that bump because they will get this resolved. Like this is going to be
I think
resolved.
Corbett kind of figured he's like probably through the end of the year, but it probably won't be long before we're importing cattle again. Which of course he talks in great detail about the cattle market. Right now that they've had a really good fall as far as moisture, kind of in the southern plains where they graze out a lot of wheat, and so that a lot of those cattle are coming up out of Mexico, then go out to wheat, and so there's multiple factors there that have really ramped up the demand for those cattle right now, and this is just putting more pressure on that market.
I was thinking after just past episodes we've done, and the fact that we do import quite a bit of Mexican beef and things like that. It makes me think, because cattle, to me, if we could resolve this packer situation, then cattle is the one real crop that you could grow profitably here. Because you think about corn and soybeans, we're having to try to export them, and we ain't even exporting enough to offset how much we got. So man, I'd love to see this cattle get to a position where you drive around here and you got a good mix. You still have some of your row crop, but then you start to see cattle back off on the ground more. I'd love to see that, get back to that. And I don't know. That's where
when you talk about, what do we, because we are growing too much on corn and soy. Yeah.
But then we're importing beef. Putting
some of that, ground back into pasture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could make sense.
It's man, it'd be so awesome to me to get to a point where we don't import food. Unless it's something that, we just don't have the climate here to grow it all.
And again, Corbett talks about a lot of Iowa, Nebraska, and other, you got a lot of farmer feeders, they call them. That they grow a lot of corn and soy, but then they walk it to town through their cattle. They don't haul a lot of that grain to the elevator. They keep it on farm, and then buy feeder calves this time of year, feed them all winter, because hey, you farmers don't have anything to do once y'all get the crop out. They've got to set up, got some pens, and wouldn't that be great? Because again, that would take a whole lot of that corn out of the market, and would help prices for folks that are selling their grain, hauling it down to the elevator.
Well, me and a good buddy of mine, we were talking the other day, and we were just talking about how terrible things look. They look terrible for next year. And that's sort of man, what are we going to do? I mean, it looks so bad. And Brazil, the big change now is Brazil. Brazil's the game changer. Farming has highs and lows, but we've not had somebody mopping the floor with us like we do now. So that's where
they're a relatively new player in that world.
Yeah.
And they're expanding, more and more acres every year.
Yep. And that's what worries me, because when I see that, I'm I don't know how we get those markets back. I don't think that we will get those markets back. And so we were talking back in the day, farmers were this prime example out here, they row crop and they had cattle. And back in the day, our farming operation, they had crops, they had cattle. And so it was almost like a thing where if you had a bad year on the row crops, you could offset it with your cattle. Yeah. And that's what it was that's just what farmers did. They just had both. And now most of them have gone one direction or the other.
Yeah, everybody was a lot more diverse. A guy I follow on social media, he's out in the Oklahoma Panhandle. He actually had a post talking about that this week, where he's they were getting ready to turn some calves out on wheat. And he's the commodity markets for grains hadn't been great, but cattle markets have been pretty good,
Yep.
One goes up, the other goes down, but we're diverse. And so that's how we could keep on keeping on.
Yep. Niches and diversity.
I mean, it used to, even out here, I remember hear our dads talk about how, they used to have some hogs, and had a little bit of everything. And but of course there's no market for that anymore. You can't just say, oh yeah, I'm going to have 25 sows. We're going to sell a few pigs at market every year. Well, no, unless you're going direct to consumers, there's not that market anymore.
Well, and man, I just think what has ultimately got us is the sake of ease. It's just easy to not have your irons and all these fires.
Yeah, and we say, we're so much more efficient if I just focus on doing this one thing.
Yeah, it's you are, but when things are bad and all your eggs are in one basket, you take a hell of a beating. So I don't know. So real quick before we get to the end here, I told Marcy, I saw the other day Nathy's had a prime, they had a prime rib. I think I might buy one and try it. I've only cooked one time.
They're not too hard. That's my specialty for Christmas.
Yeah. You do it in the oven?
No. I mean, no, there's nothing wrong with that, but I do it on my green egg.
I got you.
You have a Traeger?
I got a Pit Boss.
Yeah. Is that same thing?
What do you set it on? What temperature are you running? About 225?
Yeah.
Like you were doing a Boston Bud or something?
I got this new phone. Let me see if all my notes. Oh yeah, I keep my notes and everything on it every year. Yeah, you know, and I can share this with you. And yeah, I do it. Well, like last year, I had mine was 10 pounds after I'd trimmed it. Cooked it for 3 hours at 210 to 225.
Yeah.
Get it up to about 115, then I pull it off, go to direct heat, then I cook it direct heat for 5 minutes per
just
side.
Sear all the sides.
Yeah, just sear it, and that's like 4 sides because
Yeah.
it's pretty round. You got it tied up. Oh man, because I was a little bit afraid of it because you got about a $200 piece of meat there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And maybe more. Yeah, probably more at that size at current ribeye prices. Oh man, it's every year. I mean, I'm sure you can screw it up, but it's like some years it gets a little more done. You know, early on when I was first learning how to do it, I don't know. You want a really good thermometer. You don't want to be relying on just, you want a good digital one where you're monitoring both your cooking surface temperature and your meat temperature, where it's, very precise. And
yeah,
if you're watching that temperature, yeah, I mean, it's hard to mess it up, and beats the hell out of turkey.
Yeah.
And ham.
And ham, yeah. All right, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna do one. What was I gonna ask you? All right, what is one side, like a just standard Thanksgiving side, that you would give up right now?
Standard Thanksgiving side. Well, I'll tell you one I'm gonna give up just because I'm not eating my carbs. I won't eat any dressing.
Really?
Just because, I mean,
I don't even know that's a side. That's like a staple.
And some people I've seen, they posted like, and these are like some health and fitness people, how you diet on Thanksgiving. They're like, you don't. You start your diet again on the day after.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I might eat a little, but the one thing on my mom's side thing, my uncle, he makes, I think it's just butter and sugar, and like just slow, like turns it into like this
syrup,
caramel, yeah, caramelized, like, and that's basically our gravy. We just have a big pot of mashed sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
And you put that on those sweet potatoes. Oh my God. Like I'll go back for that like 3 times. Like that's my dessert.
Yeah.
And I'm like, good Lord. Like my blood sugars, my A1C is going up just thinking about it.
Just thinking about it. Yeah.
So I'll probably have to skip over that one, but yeah, I'm not normally I like dressing, but it's not like I'm like, shaking as I think about how excited I am about my dressing. But I'll eat the turkey. We'll have some fried turkeys. Actually, my cousin David, I tried to get him to go duck hunting with me more. He's a big duck hunter.
Yeah.
But he's in charge of frying the turkeys. He's like, man,
I got to be here. Yeah.
Because I'm going to roll in there right at noon tomorrow and just grab a plate and eat.
Yeah.
Because we'll be getting back from hunting. And he's like, no, I'll probably be getting up about the same time you do because I got to fry 2 turkeys, get everything ready and get them injected and rubbed. And I was like, well, I appreciate you doing that for us.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you.
We'll probably have ham too.
You talk about sweet potatoes. Man, my mom does a sweet potato casserole and it has a brown sugar crust on top of it.
Yeah.
And that, I'm saying, I can eat that like freaking dessert.
Actually, I was researching it because your dad's got all these sweet potatoes out here that somebody gave him, like a case of them. The other day I was over here and he said, like, grab you some. I was like, all right. And I was kind of looking, I was like, all right, how bad would these be? Actually, my little bit of research, and I'm no nutritionist, but they're actually better for you than like white potatoes.
Oh yeah, sweet potatoes are good.
But even from like a glycemic index kind of thing, because they're higher in fiber. Really don't get as much carbs, uptake there as you do from just eating like a baked potato.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. The last few nights I've been air frying just like little sweet potato chips.
Oh, sweet potatoes
I need to grab
are
some more. I've gone through all those he gave me.
Oh yeah, because we never eat them. Somebody had given me a box of them last year, and I think I ended up having to like give them away.
That air frying them like that, and it's pretty easy.
We don't have an air fryer.
You could bake them and do the same thing, I think.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm a dressing guy, but I'll tell you, I don't like.
But yeah, your mom's sweet potato casserole is, yeah.
That's, dude, I can eat it.
It's the same thing. I'm like, man, it's not the sweet potato that gets you. It's the
crust. It's the
she
crust.
Have pecans in there.
Yeah, little pecans.
Yeah, that's
man,
good.
That's good.
'Cause that's really what the best part of it is, the crust.
Yeah, it is.
The topping.
I don't like
You know, a lot of people do it like with marshmallows on there.
See, and I don't like the marshmallows.
I'll eat that.
Do you?
I would have in the past for sure.
I don't like it, and I don't like it when they're like spice. It has like allspice in it or cinnamon or something.
Yeah, I'm not big on that.
I don't like that. But yeah, hers is just a brown sugar crust on there. Man, I love that. I mean, that's what my dad. He's like, I don't even need any dessert. I'm just gonna get another helping of this.
Like I said, that's exactly what I do. I don't know. Yeah, I can tear up the deviled eggs. That's perfectly good for somebody watching their blood sugar.
Yeah, deviled eggs. I like them. See, we had, and we had good turkey. The last thing we had this weekend.
Oh yeah, I love to shit on turkey just because I'm a beef guy. But fried turkey, nothing wrong with it. I mean, I'll go to my grave saying, yeah, I'd rather eat a whole beef tenderloin. I've done those a few times. Like
did I show you this?
But definitely a ribeye roast.
Did I send you this one of this freaking? This is the juiciest turkey I've ever seen in my life. I'm almost torn, and people are pumped up about it. He spatchcock cooked one.
I've heard of that. What is that?
They you split it open, and I guess you cook it kind of on the smoker, but it's,
smoke it. Yeah.
Yeah.
My cousin, he's done that with one for.
Well, look how juicy this one is. For people, y'all can't see this. It's on this dude's Kendrick Barbecue. I can't decide if this is it almost makes me a little nauseated. Like, it's so juicy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I feel like it should have a graphic image warning on here. But watch how juicy this thing is.
Feeling this is like
it's not a trick.
Okay. Oh Lord. Yeah.
Like, that's like insane.
It looks good. Like,
it does look good, but he cuts it again. And I mean, everybody's pumped up about it. And I mean, it might be delicious, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It almost might be too juicy. Like, watch, he cuts in this other side here.
I'd like to try it before I would judge it.
Yeah.
Too harshly.
Look at that. Did you see all of it coming out of there? It looks like when you've like popped one of them things on a cow. Watch, he pushes this right here.
I'm sure he had to have injected it.
He injected, or actually no. I don't know that he did inject it. He said he soaked it in a brine for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
All right, it says $20, says it was injected after the cook on a pellet smoker, and he said, easiest $20 I've ever made. I take Venmo. But yeah, he talked about, he said the brine soaking it is what the weapon is on there. So I don't know, man. It's very juicy, but it almost looks too juicy.
I just sent you that link. It's a pretty long read. You know, like anytime you look up a recipe, and it's like you just immediately jump to recipe.
Yep.
But all these guys, it's AmazingRibs.com and Meathead is his website, and they get really deep into nerd out on the science of cooking all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
So I follow them for like just cooking ribs and other stuff too, but it's a really good one where he breaks down like exactly why you did it. I followed pretty much his process to a T for the ribeye roast.
I'll try it out. I am. I'm gonna do it. All right. Well, man, I think that's a pretty good wrap on the Thanksgiving. Hope everybody listening. Hope you have an awesome Thanksgiving. And our preacher this Sunday, he said we need to get it. You can be thankful, but your big thing is you need to have a heart of gratitude. And it's like, thanks for this, but it's like at the end of the day, are you actually grateful? And that's one of my goals moving in next year. Try to be more just actually grateful for where I'm at.
There you go.
So
good lesson.
Yep. Good lesson. Guys, leave us a rating and review. Oh wait, hell, you got to queue up. You got the thing tonight?
Well, let me see. Like I said, I got my new phone. Let me see if I can.
Oh, you might not have your list no more.
Find our man. Where's my favorites?
Oh man.
Oh, I'm gonna have him. He's in here somewhere. I better not have lost him. All right, how do I unmute him? Okay.
Don't ask me.
Words. Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America. Let me start off with 2 words.
Oh, he's going again.
Yeah.
He's confused.
I'm like the boomer trying to figure out how to work my phone.
So what?
He probably is confused.
Yeah, he probably is. You got one?
I got one I can do. Pretty simple one, but as I said before, this one also bought right here at our local hardware store.
All right.
Actually, my wife bought it, and I was using it the other day. I was like, I'll be dang, made in USA. Duct tape. It's this particular brand is Itape Polymer Group. Itape.com.
Itape.com, like a letter I?
Yeah, just itape.com.
Okay.
Yeah, you can probably find it at a local hardware store if you're right here in the Tipton County area. Head Ads sells their duct tape. Yeah, we were making a bandage to go on a horse's foot. As I was unrolling, I was like, made in USA. I was like,
Hey,
I'll be
there
there.
you
So
go.
I looked them up. Like, sure enough, yeah, simple product, something everybody needs to have in their toolbox.
Yep.
In their junk drawer, in their cabinet, wherever. Yeah, made in USA.
Awesome. Itape.com. That's something you need all the time. Check it out. Guys, while you're checking that out, go to agzaga.com. Get geared up for the holidays. Like I say, go get you some toys for the kids. Get you, hey, I've been using my gas jug, my commodity jug a lot more. Man, yeah, once I figured out now, I don't spill nothing now.
Yeah.
I didn't become a pro with
Just a
it.
little user error. Yeah.
It is, yeah. You control the flow with the air thing. And my problem was I was taking it completely off. You just crack it open a little bit.
Just a little vent.
Yep. So get you on there. Get you one of them. Like I said, I will now put my stamp of approval on the commodity jugs.
I've been using, of course, it's that time of year we're having to make sure animals are watered, and thankfully we haven't gotten into any real frigid temperatures yet.
You put a little gas in their water to keep it from freezing.
Yeah, it works just like antifreeze.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes them cows get to running around out there and they fall over, and I'm like, hey, he just ran out of gas.
He ran out of gas, needs a little extra gas. Yeah.
But no, I was using my Flexzilla hose. They can do those custom length hoses.
Yeah.
And like on a water trough to my float valve, I'm like, most people, my hydrant's right there, and I've rigged up all sorts of different kinds of things, and the hose won't last. So I had them make me just some real short hoses.
Yeah.
And they're professionally, coupled together and everything. And
What's the short hose?
like, what do you mean?
Well, like, what's the length of a short hose?
You get whatever length you want. It's custom.
Well, I mean, what are you calling a short hose, though?
Well, these are probably like, I don't know, 18, 24 inches.
That seems pretty long of a hose to me.
Well, yeah, I thought you were going somewhere like that. Oh, hell yeah, that's a hell of a hose.
Say it's about a 5 or 6 inch hose, pretty good size hose if you ask me.
See, my hydrants aren't that close. I needed to reach on out there a little further.
Hold it up there a little bit. You got to hold it.
Yeah. You can't quite get it
Get a
over
little
the edge.
upward trajectory going here.
Can't get it quite over the edge of the trough if it's that short. But yeah, I think that's some of the best money I've spent, because yeah, it's it's not like me buying the kit, and I buy those here at our local store where
The dryer kits or whatever.
or just like I'll have like a hose that's cracked or broken.
Oh, and you cut it off.
And put the repair end on there and I'll do that little short piece of hose.
Yep.
Like it just I never do have it on there just quite right. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and get this, because it is dang good hose.
Yeah.
Flexzilla. And,
Well, there you go.
Yeah, they can do those custom links for you.
Get on there, get that, use the code TALKDIRT, all caps, all one word. Save yourself 10%. And guys, it really does help us when you use that code. Like, people, y'all are doing good using it. We've been bragging on you about the ratings and reviews. Get on there and use that code, because it shows our sponsor that we're a valuable asset to them, that we're sending people there.
Yep.
So go use the code and eat like gluttons. We're coming up on Thanksgiving here. Hope all y'all have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, we're planning on, should have a guest episode next week. Hopefully Logan doesn't text me that I forgot when they were going to be here and they're here waiting
tell
on
them
me.
we're waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, my heart kind of skipped a beat when I got that text from her. I was like, did I forget?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I know I didn't. I know we weren't going to do it the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that'd be bad. That'd be bad scheduling. All right, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Catch you next week.